Hey guys, I'm Heintje, and if you've seen my Hardtail vs bikework video, you might remember me complaining about how hard it was on my hands and arms. To battle that issue, I was considering to upgrade the fork. So now I've upgraded this RockShox sector with a brand new RockShox Lyrik Ultimate. This new one has 160mm of travel compared to the 140mm on the old one. So to offset the increase of height, I've lowered my bars by 10mm. Time to put it to the test, and let's hit the trails around Remouchamps. But first, roll the intro. The first trail of the day is always to warm up. Unfortunately, the medium red trail we wanted to use for this was closed, so we moved on to the next trail, a black one. This one starts off pretty mellow, so okay to warm up on, right? Well, not so much. Even though I call it a warm-up run, it's more like a general scouting run. Sure, you'll warm up your body with it, but the main thing I do on my first run is get familiar with the circumstances of the place and the day. I already knew the trail, so I knew it was going to be rocky and steep at the end. However, I did not know how the grip was yet. This led to a lack of commitment in some of the sections.
Yeah.
So starting with one of the hardest trails isn't a good idea. This was a bit too much survival mode to really enjoy the trail.
Yeah.
Especially some of the rock gardens were scary. On this one I came to a complete stop, but I could continue from that point and get through it. The next one was even scarier. I missed the obvious line and got bounced from left to right, somehow staying on my bike. Next trail, La Golden. This one starts with the famous rock slab. Every time I come here I think I can do it now, and every time when I'm standing at the top of it, I decide to pass. Maybe next time. At the start of the trail are two drops to flat. One of them resulted in this, a flat tire. The main reason I installed a double down casing tire and use an insert is in the hope to prevent incidents like this. In order to be able to continue riding, I had to install an inner tube. Of course, this meant my insert had to come out, so if you see a weird shadow of me, that's because of the insert on my backpack. After installing a tube, I'm always afraid to get it flat again, so this trail I rode pretty careful, not going for this drop for example. By the way, my tire and insert did what they are supposed to do. This time it was the rim who was the weakest link. It got a tiny split at the point where the two ends of the rim meet. Back at home I could fix it by putting a bit of kit in the crack, and now it's tubeless again. Unfortunately, this was another trail not riding optimal. Third time is the charm, right? So this trail should go better, and it did, La Wasse. I decided to not care about the fact that I was running an inner tube, just accept that one more flat would mean the end of the day. Before I tell you about my findings on the fork, let me kindly ask you to hit that subscribe button, at least if you like my videos that is. It's the easiest way for you to show your gratitude. Now, first a few disclaimers and then I'll finally tell you about my experience with the RockShox Lyrik Ultimate. 1. I'm not much of a reviewer. I've only ridden a couple of bikes in my life, most of them very different in nature, so I'm not good in detecting subtle changes, nor do I know what to pay attention to. And 2. I'm also not much of a setup junkie. I try to find a setting that works and leave it at that. I started by setting the pressure to the recommended amount, then turned the high and low speed compression to open and the rebound in the middle. Before this trip I rode a couple of stairs and jumps, tried a few other settings, but came back to its default ones every time. The only thing I noticed, the fork likes to dive quite deep. In order to address that, I installed one spacer token, and for this trip I brought my shock pump and even the tools to adjust the tokens if needed. Till this point I hadn't considered my forks during the riding, what I see as a good thing. Never felt the fork too harsh, nor did I have a harsh bottom outs. For the change in geometry, I didn't notice anything about the handling. but I did offset the bar height and the rise in the bottom bracket is so minimal, I'll be surprised I had even noticed. I was afraid that this fork would increase the weight of the front end of my bike and with that impact the riding, but to my surprise both forks weigh roughly the same, even though the Lyrik has more travel and thicker stanchions. During these runs I did feel fatigue in my arms and legs, but this time it was more even between them, not just my arms as before. So I think I have to conclude that this fork is a huge upgrade for the bike, and my capabilities on it. Also expecting no fatigue is silly, even on a full suspension you'll get fatigued, of course depending on your fitness. At the moment of making this video, this ride was already over a month ago, so by now I've ridden the setup a lot more and can give a better conclusion. This fork is truly a huge upgrade for the bike, it's so subtle, especially on small bumps. This makes the ride so much smoother and less fatiguing. On big hits it's okay, sometimes a bit harsh. I think I can tweak the settings to smooth that out, I just haven't put time into it. I'd rather avoid the biggest hits anyway. With that conclusion I've come to the end of the video. However, our day did not end here. We did one more run of Wasse. My goal for that run was to keep up with my friends. I've made a separate, unlisted video of that run. You can click here if you want to see it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. As always, I hope to see you back for my next video. In the meantime, have fun riding. Houdoe!